Hi friends, Astrologer Joe here. I wanted to do a quick update video. Today is Saturday, December the 6th. And because there's so much information coming out that I wanted to just show you how powerful that last full moon was all about in Gemini. So I have a whole bunch of slides here. This is not going to be a long presentation. So I just wanted to give you a quick update because I'm also doing, when I did the astrology for the weekly astrology for my inner circle, I began to see some patterns here, and I want to share a couple of those slides with you as well. So leading up to next week on the 14th, if you regulars have been following me, you know I said that December 14th I had a vision of some sort of, let's just say, shooting of somebody very well known, and I hope it doesn't come to pass, but I'm just trying to see or get any other information from the astrology to see if it confirms any of it. And unfortunately, it does. But anyway, I wanted to just do this to give you a little bit of a heads up or show you what the heck has been going on right around this full moon and how strong it was. It was a super moon. It was in the sign of Gemini, and Mr. Trump is a Gemini. And, I showed the slides about the United States and where all this energy was going to be. It was a very strong moon. So hopefully you got some insights or some revelations in your own personal life. So without further ado, let's go into some of these slides and show you what I'm talking about here. So obviously the full moon was on the 4th, and it was all about communication, all kinds of communication. Now, yes, Gemini's a duality, so there's always this sense of another person or something to do with communication on a subconscious level or in the news. And we did see a lot of that. And I'm going to show you some of these slides of some of the stuff that I picked up off the forums. And, take everything with a grain of salt because we don't know what is real anymore. We got AI sending us all kinds of misinformation. There's all kinds of, political theater going on. And so this is a time where we're going to get bombarded by so much information, and we're going to have to figure out what's real and what's not. And that's going to be tricky, friends, especially in 2026. And by the way, I have that video ready. That'll be going out in the next day or two as well. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So I had this slide, if you guys remember. It had to do with, here's the full moon, okay, Sagittarius, Gemini, and then it made an exact T-square to the North Node. The North Node is the moon's nodes, and it represents what we're striving for. It's in Pisces. But Pisces is an energy that's very elusive in a sense that it's foggy, confusing. It has a tendency to imagine or be fantasy prone, but also at the same time, it has a tendency to dissolve. And so we're seeing a lot of dissolving taking place in the federal government. In my opinion, not enough, because it is absolutely a cesspool of corruption. If you understand what Washington really is, it was set up to basically just siphon money and send it off to these foreign lands and these people in the shadows. And, this is unfortunately what it's been set up to do. And it's also happening at the state and local levels here in not just the United States, but all around the world. But I'm just showing you the United States here. So we also have this here. Uranus is backtracking, and it will hit 27 degrees, and it'll be squaring the United States' moon, also making a trine to loosely, it's not exact, to Pluto. But we're also seeing this magical sort of trine taking place here between Mercury, Saturn, which represents government, and Jupiter sitting right on Mercury in the United States' chart. So this is part of the information that's coming out from what I gather and how I see the astrology. We also saw the Mars opposing Mars, and I want to show you what I'm talking about. When we have this much energy building up, just look at it symbolically. If we have more energy building with astrological alignments, or the numerology is tricky, it just shows you events that are occurring. More events or strange events or announcements of some kind. So this is what I'm talking about here. So this is why I'm doing this video, to show you some of the things that have occurred right around this full moon. So let's dive in, okay? So here we have the ICE agents being sent over to Minnesota. There's a lot of corruption over there, and basically we know this now, and we also know that Tim Walsh there has been accused of fraud, and the federal government is investigating him. I mean, this is big. This is what I posted in my inner circle community. And so, this is stuff that was right around the full moon. So we're seeing the corruption being exposed. Remember, I've been saying this all along. I said the only reason I support Mr. Trump is because he is going to be the one to reveal, whether directly or indirectly, the corruption at these levels. Now, this is just the state level. The federal government's another story. That is, like I said, big time corruption there. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it unfold. So this is a time of discovering what's real and what's not real. That's what we're entering. The Great Awakening is about truth. And I don't care what topic it is, it's going to be about truth. So here we see something else. We also saw that supposedly, and again, I can't prove this, I'm not there, CIA operatives and special forces that have been sent to Venezuela. There's a lot of movement or activity over there, a lot of speculation, but I'm just showing you all the activity around this full moon. We also saw some sort of civil war brewing inside the federal government with the FBI. Again, this is another post that I put in my inner circle community. And so this is stuff that, I could talk a lot more freely there. And we did on our last Thursday call. So now we have 2 calls. We do a Zoom call on Sunday and we do another call on Thursday. So I left a link down below in case you're interested in joining. We saw the FBI announcing arrests of the D.C. pipe bomber suspect. Again, this is political theater, friends. I mean, why would it come out now? And it just, again, doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Everything's coming out now, or this is some sort of shield for something else, or a distraction of some kind. Just weird how the timing is going on all this. Of course, Trump talks about reversing everything that the previous administration did through the auto pen. And we have James Comer in the House, a committee there, the head of the House committee, basically saying, yeah, we found all kinds of evidence that Biden never signed anything. It was all auto pen. So what they're talking about, and this is huge, friends, if they're able to do this, reverse everything that the previous administration signed as an executive order, that's going to be monumental. That's like Supreme Court justice nominees, federal judges, and all of that stuff is going to be reversed. That's pretty big. I mean, that is major news. And again, it's all about information coming out, believe it or not. I mean, this is what's on the forums. We also saw the Trump administration now is firing all kinds of immigration judges. And Dr. Steve Turley here, who is, a big supporter of Trump, but he is a smart guy, and he definitely is able to explain things very beautifully. And he says it's up to 200 of these federal judges, these immigration judges that have been dragging their feet for years to get cases moved along. This is why nobody's getting deported, legally. And so Trump goes and fires a whole bunch of them. Anyway, if you want to watch the video, there's the title of the video, Dr. Steve Turley. Also, Nick does a great job of breaking stories, and here's another one. President Trump terminates the Green New Deal. And this is definitely a big one, because the restrictions on emissions has been basically choking the entire, economy having to do with motor vehicles. And so, really interesting stuff that's going on all around this full moon. Then this was big. This just happened today, I believe, on the 6th. He basically has ordered RFK to do away with all those injections for the little children. But, within their first couple of years, they have to take 72 of these things, and he's basically saying to the CDC, no, we're not doing that anymore. So they're eliminating a lot of those poison injections. And I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. Keep going. Okay, because, it is total poison, in my opinion, from what I've gathered. So there's more information coming out. Okay, now here's another one. Now, if you know this case at all, Tina Peters, the Mesa County clerk for Colorado, was arrested and charged for storing information on the 2020 elections. And by federal law, she is supposed to hold those records. But meanwhile, somebody in Colorado obviously does not like her and basically charged her with, some sort of criminal acts, which is unconstitutional according to the federal government, because according to what I've learned and what even Mr. Trump says here, she was preserving the election records, which she was obligated to do under federal law. So she was following the law and doing her job, and they arrested her in Colorado, and now she's sitting in a prison, and she's got cancer as well. This is a woman that's like 73 years old. She never had a parking ticket. So he calls the sleazebag governor of Colorado, for not letting her out or putting her in a facility that, she could get treatment for. And so we see this coming out, and this was on the 3rd right there. I grabbed the post. So, we're seeing Trump in high gear. Remember, this is a full moon in Gemini, so he's a Gemini. So it activates him. It makes him more aggressive. He's going to be very, very much more vocal. And I said this about 2 videos ago on one of the live streams. So, that this was going to involve Mr. Trump this full moon because it's in his sign. We also saw this going on. Governor DeSantis. He basically has called a special session to redraw Florida's House map to cancel the 5 seats that they lost in California. So you could see the political game that's being played here. It's incredible to watch the show, And then also Indiana did the same thing. And they picked up 2 more seats for the Republicans in the midterm. So you could see the battle taking place here, friends, between the blue states and the red states. And it's really interesting to watch this show unfolding. Okay. On the international scene now, there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on internationally, just to show you. Here's Carney from Canada basically talking about these AI data centers must be carbon neutral by paying carbon credits. Friends, they're conditioning people to think in terms of carbon credits. This is what this whole AI system is about. Okay, if you don't have enough carbon credits, you can't buy gas, you can't buy food. This is what's happening in China, and you could look it up yourself. There's many Chinese people there that are American as well, have basically gone there with their cameras and tried to buy food, and they don't have enough carbon credits. They can't buy food. This is the utopia that they're selling us. So don't buy into it. You folks in Canada, pay attention, because that's the next rollout, not just digital IDs, but the carbon credits as well. So we see this going on here. We also saw Denmark. Denmark is banning burqas and telling Muslims to adjust to their cultures and rules. Very interesting. I believe Italy has been doing the same thing in public buildings, in federal buildings, all that stuff. They're not allowing people to have any headdresses or any of these burqas and stuff like that. And I also think there's another reason for it, friends. I think because we have AI surveillance now, and we will in the next couple of years, big time, cameras everywhere, they want to see people's faces, facial recognition. So there's another possible scenario there. So, we're seeing all of this, friends, right before our eyes, unfolding. We are witnessing one of the greatest changes to society that is happening. Okay, and it's up to us whether we want to accept this nonsense or not. Big Brother taking over and watching everything. We also saw this in Hungary. They threw out the EU flag right out the window. The parliament threw the flag right out the window. They didn't want the EU flag there, so they threw it right out the window. I'm like, bravo, good for you guys. Do what you got to do. We also saw this. Now, this was an eye-opener, but not really to those of us that have gone down the rabbit hole of truth. The country in the Middle East here establishes the Isaac Accords in Latin America, basically to take over Latin America. They're going in there and buying off politicians and all kinds of members, which they've already done in the United States. Not surprising, friends. These politicians just go where the money is. They're told what to do, and then they have these big fat offshore bank accounts once they follow orders. And we see that here. And speaking of that country in the Middle East, here's a big concern for those of you that are big AI people. I'm not going to read it for you, but here it is. Reportedly closing on a deal to buy ChatGPT. Same country, friends. They've already bought the other organization there, TikTok. Now they're heading for ChatGPT. How about that? Oh man, what a show! What a show we are witnessing, friends. We're seeing the control grid being rolled out right before our eyes, and we know who the players are. BlackRock, Vanguard, this country here, but we don't, but people don't realize is there's a whole other layer above these people that sits in the shadow pulling the strings, and they're much higher up. I showed you a slide a couple of weeks ago of how the system really is worked and developed. All right, so let's go into some of these astrology charts that I have here. I'm going to be doing more of this in my inner circle on Sunday. And so this is Monday through next Sunday. This whole week is a bit volatile, friends, and I'll show you why. On Monday, we have Mars squaring Saturn right there. Mars is about aggression and motivation and friction, and it likes to get things done. And Saturn is kind of like the opposite of that. It's restrictive. It's it puts up roadblocks. It's very karmic. It's very structured. But when these two collide like this, the square, you have Saturn wanting to run away with action and momentum, and Saturn wants to restrict and confine. And so we're going to have this starting late on Sunday, going into Monday, this square. Now, Mars represents military, represents police, represents, federal agencies and governments. But here is Saturn, which actually represents governments and corporations and entities. This is can be military in a different sense, more of the higher ups. So when we have this square alignment, we're starting to see some heavy energy here that could affect the government because it's Saturn, you see. And so this could be policies because it's in Sagittarius. So we astrologers are looking at this with a little, scratching our heads going, what the heck's going to happen here? This is a big deal, and this will be in effect for a couple of days. So Monday, the energy's starting to ramp up right away. And so we're also seeing Mercury coming into an opposition, which is going to happen, I believe, on Wednesday. I think I have a slide for that. And that's another volatile point here. So we're seeing something building up here this week. So I'm expecting some major news or announcements. Yeah, it is Wednesday. Wednesday, we have the exact opposition between Mercury, the communication planet in Scorpio, which is power, transformation, chaos, up against Uranus in Taurus. Now, this could involve money matters or more corruption and power in the news. It's very possible. So we're seeing Monday, even possibly Tuesday, Wednesday, more of this energy building up here where more is going to be disclosed or more information or power struggles or, some other silly battle that we have to witness, And so again, the astrology is just indicating something of major importance that we need to witness here. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing here for Wednesday. And then Thursday, we have the moon, the transiting moon that's going to be squaring the sun right there. The moon will be in Virgo, which is a nervous energy to begin with, squaring the sun. And so this could be a little bit of a volatile day. We could get things done, motivation personally, but it can be a very nerve-wracking day, if you will. It'll also be coming into an opposition to Saturn. Okay, about a few hours later, about 3 or 4 hours later, the moon will be opposing Saturn. So I'm expecting Thursday to be a little volatile too, in the political theater. Now, Sunday, I want to get to Sunday because this is the day that I had a vision a couple of weeks ago about Sunday and, of course, an attempt on someone's life here. And I hope it doesn't happen. I'm just putting it out there. And hopefully we can avoid this nonsense. But look at Sunday's astrology for the 14th. We have two squares going on. We've got a Mars squaring Neptune, which could be confusion or some sort of act that is very confusing or an event that could cause confusion. And then we got the transiting moon exactly in the morning squaring Jupiter, which is in Cancer. So we have two squares going on simultaneously. Now, of course, this could happen Saturday evening, as this energy is coming into being. But again, this is the power of astrology by just looking at some of the rougher transits, and if you understand how to read them, in your personal life, you could act upon them or not act upon them. You see, it's like kind of a roadmap. If you know that you're driving down a road and there's going to be construction on that road and it's going to slow you down and you're not going to be able to get through on time or something like that, you would take another route. You see? And so the astrology is the same. You're looking at something that has high energy alignments, and you're going, oh, this could be a good day to get stuff done. This could be a good day to lay low. This could be a good day to pay attention to where I'm going and the people surrounding me because people are feeling the energy and it's very uncomfortable. That's what I'm getting at, friends. Okay? So we see this alignment on Sunday. Now, this Sunday is a big day here. I'm going to be paying attention all week carefully to what's going on. But this is a very possible scenario here. Now, why am I saying this? I'm not saying to be negative or fear-based or whatever. We've already seen this stuff. President Trump, Charlie Kirk, right? Attempts supposedly on Candace Owens. But there's more. Just today, as I'm doing this video, this is Saturday the 6th, Benny Johnson here put this video out. Another assassination attempt supposedly on Tim Pool. Okay, multiple shots fired at his studio. Now, this is a very interesting development here. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'm not there. But he has this here. He posted this on X. AG Pam Bondi announces arrest of individuals who threatened to kill her entire family. And Benny has been getting threats too. And his wife Kate. So you could see that, something's brewing here in this area. Now, I'm hoping everyone stays safe and none of this happens. But when we see rough alignments like this and my spidey senses are trying to warn me about something, you got to pay attention. So let's envision it not happening, friends. Peaceful day, nothing happens, great. Everyone gets along and, we move on. But again, I'm seeing the indications of all this right now. So this is why it's important to put this out so people do not feed into it and envision the opposite effect of a shooting. That's my suggestion. And that's how we get over some of this. All right. So anyway, I just want to put that out. Always remember, we are spiritual energy beings. And boy, do we need this now more than ever, an understanding of who we really are. Because it's important at this time because the Great Awakening is occurring. All right. Anyway, also good news. Me and my team have decided to extend the Inner Circle 1-year membership, throughout the rest of the year. We talked about it, said, why not just run it through the rest of the year? It may be a great deal. We did have a bunch of people sign up so far. Thank you so much for those of you that signed up. Anyway, you could go to school.com/truthseeker, or you could go to my website, astrologerjoe.com, or any of the other websites, planetswithin.com, josephpanthony.com. The links are all over there. And once you get to the site on School, I believe you do have a link there to purchase the 1-year membership, or just sign up for the 7-day free trial. And then when that's over, you get the option to sign up for the 1-year membership. So anyway, check it out. I think it's a great deal. And, the members really do enjoy chatting, unfiltered about what the hell's really going on, because I could do that there, which I can't do here. Anyway, friends, there you have it. I left the link down below, or just go to school.com/truthseeker. And let's see what happens. Have a great week. Do the best you can. Stay awake. And, always remember, we are spiritual beings having these human experiences, and we're going through a massive transformation coming in 2026. All right. Bye for now.